Cool. While we wait for everyone to pop in here, love to hear from you all. I'll throw out just a prompt and a question here. How do you guys get into focus mode? What are your focus rituals? What do you guys do to get into focus mode or stay in focus mode? Kind of curious to hear. Frank says coffee. Besides coffee, I think that's everyone's hack here. How do you guys get into focus mode? You guys know you got a busy plane. I'm like reading the comment and speaking out at the same time. Busy day ahead. You know, you got a lot of things you gotta crank out. You want to get into focus mode. What are your rituals before, during, after, whatever it is? Edward says airplane mode, do not disturb. Yeah. Christian says background music. What kind of music do you put on? You're muted.
Yeah, doing music, like that music that helps you to concentrate is like it's awesome. You guys can try it.
Yeah? Yeah? Do you have like a specific source or anywhere that you find your music?
I had an application before, but well, YouTube can work. You just go on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm similar. I use it's called brain.fm. I use that and just have some background binaural beats going on that keeps me focused. Yeah. Troy says I start with coffee, isolation, and a notebook. I love that. I love that. Are you journaling? What are you putting in your notebook? What gets you started? Nat says set focus. My Riz. What's your Riz or Rise?
Rise, it's a time tracking software.
Hmm.
So when you set it to focus, if I try to go anywhere else than where I said I will be, it slaps me. It says, "Are you distracted right now?" And then I have to answer either, "Thank you for reminding me," or "Yes, this is a distraction. I'm sorry."
I love that. Do you ever just ignore it? Yeah, what do you guys listen to? What kind of music do you put on in the background? I know some people have like all sorts of things. I have a friend who just puts on like heavy metal. It just helps them like stay focused, keep them really amped up. It says breathe. Square breathing is helpful. I love that. Breath work is definitely a great way. Yeah, right. To reset your nervous system, ground yourself, regulate yourself. Lo-fi music, Afro beats, love it. Love it. I'm moving my desk with light. Yeah, good lighting is always important. Coffee phone on silent mode. Yeah. Do not disturb. That's always an important one. Yeah. I would add into there just turn off Slack too. That one's the biggest distractor for me. When I have Slack on. Yeah. Okay, a lot of music. I love that. Yeah. Edward says anything that gets me vibing. Soft jazz. Love it. Love it. Very cool. All right. Okay, we got a full house, guys. Let's dive in here. Um, I want to continue the conversation we've had. I feel like I keep saying that every single session. It's always a continuation of this conversation, right? The topic around all of you guys' career, right? The topic around how to start to upskill, right? How to start to transition into these new roles that you guys are going to be stepping into, right? To really future proof, your career path, right? And of course that comes back to what you do with AI, how you leverage AI, where you can upskill with it. But I'm curious. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I shared a couple resources with you guys on where to get started with this, starting to learn and upskill with AI. I'm curious to hear if any of you moved the needle on that, right? And so I guess two prompts for you guys here. One is, what's one new thing you learned about AI since the last time we've met? Second prompt is, What's one new thing you've built with AI? You can pick either or. You're welcome to unmute and share with the group. Either something you've learned recently or something you've actually built recently. And if you've done neither of those, you're welcome to be honest and just be like, I've done neither of them. Did not learn anything new and did not build anything new in the last 2 weeks. Lamia says, I've tested my co-work skills in Claude Code and outlined an agent for our newsletter engine. Yeah, that was a dope build you put together there. All right, for those of you guys that don't know, we run we're sharing newsletters, right? We have 2 newsletters, one for the executive, one for all of you guys, the EAs. All right, they go out every 2 weeks, right? And it was a very tedious and manual process to get together all the newsletters, and now we're incorporating a lot of AI to help support with coming up with the ideas, the topics, and Lamia's done a great job with building not just one skill, but a whole set of skills that work together to go from coming up with ideas to taking those ideas to drafting headlines to drafting the actual newsletter itself, right? And then there would be the human in the loop component where Lamia and I would review them and refine it and make sure that the newsletters are good and are valuable, so that whatever we're sending out is going to be very, very helpful for you guys. Yeah, so good job on that. Nat says, I'm working a lot in Claude Cowork now, right? Built some skills for pre-matching training assessments. That's amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing that, right? As you guys know, we do a lot of our assessments very manually right now, right? And so, yeah, it's awesome to see the team starting to incorporate and build more skills around that. And then working on skills for the Elevate plans. Amazing. iPhone Frank here says Claude Cowork is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Claude Cowork is an incredible tool. Yeah, and it's only just getting better and better, right? Like Anthropic is releasing features every single week. It's kind of mind blowing, right? Every single week is just a new feature, a new feature, a new feature. And I want to speak into that in a bit here around just staying current, right? Right? Keeping up with the developments in AI without drowning in all the noise, because there's a lot of noise too, right? There's so much going on, and I get it. It can feel quite overwhelming, right? And I want to share, a couple best practices there, right? Frank says you can add the Chrome extension to Claude, by the way, so Cowork can work in Chrome. Yeah, 100%. That's a great connector and tool that comes with Claude Cowork, right? So anything that you need done in a Chrome browser can now be done and automated or supported with Claude. So that's definitely a massive feature there. Yeah. It says Claude Cowork. Yeah, it's the first week working with Claude. Great. Yeah, before that, ChatGPT Pro, it's a whole new world. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And ChatGPT is making some major progress as well. All right, but I definitely think when it comes to a set of features, Claude is definitely still leading in the game there. Yeah. Anna says wasn't here in the previous meeting. I was definitely able to use AI, ChatGPT, to assist me with creating a 3-day itinerary for my executive. Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Love to learn about Claude Cowork. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more training and in-depth training on using Claude Cowork. But even I'm going to take it a step further, right? I want to actually train you guys how to use Claude Code as well, right? Because Cowork is just basically the stripped down version of Claude Code, right? Claude Code was their, original main product that they're building here, right? And it was originally built for developers to actually build solutions and build tools and all of that. And then they went, okay, well, how do we make this accessible to non-technical people, right? And so they took a lot of the fundamentals and features of Claude Code, stripped down whatever, and made it as non-technical as possible, right? And created Claude Cowork, which allows anyone now with, I don't want to say no, but like minimal technical skills, be able to leverage some of the, best use cases with Cloud Code, right, through Cowork, right? But I do think it's going to be a massive competitive advantage and competitive edge for you guys if you guys actually knew how to build things with Cloud Code, right? And the gap to get from Cowork to code is not massive. It's not huge, right? There's some key things you'll need to know, you'll need to learn, and a lot of trial and error and testing, right? And learning through building and testing and building and testing and building and testing over and over and over again, right? But the once you understand some of the fundamentals, right, some of the architectural components, right, then it's quite easy to pick these up, right? I think I shared this with you guys. Like a year and a half ago, I did not know how to write a single line of code. And here I'm building agents, I'm building softwares, I'm building all these tools and everything, right? And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It wasn't a overnight thing. I learned how to do it and be able to do it kind of thing, right? It did take time, but I realize once you understand the fundamental components of it, it's easy. I was gonna say super easy, but it's easy. It's easy, right? For a non-technical I'm not technical, was not technical, right? I would consider myself somewhat technical now, right? After a lot of trial and error and learning. But I did not come from a technical background, right? But to be able to now build on full-on solutions, right, with real-world use cases that solves real-world problems is quite like pat on the back of myself. It's quite impressive, right? Which does also means that all of you guys can close that gap and get there as well, right? And I truly believe that that's going to give you the competitive advantage as we step into the future of this AI era here. All right. Cool. Amazing. Love it. Love hearing that you guys are, diving into co-work. Any of you guys that are not yet diving into either learning about AI at the very least, right? Even better if you're actually building with it. Now's the time, guys. Now is the time. And if there's anything that's keeping you from it, please share that. Right? There should not be any challenges or roadblocks to you guys being able to learn and build with AI. Right? If there is, let us know so we can see how we can support you with that. Right? But there should not be any roadblocks to it. The only real roadblock is if you just don't want to learn. You just don't want to do it. If you just don't want to, and then there's nothing we can do there. Right? There's nothing I can do. There's nothing the Atlas team can do to support you if you just truly don't have the desire for it. Right? But if you do have the desire for it, there should be no roadblocks to you guys, even if it's as simple as getting you guys, a Cowork subscription from your clients, from your executive, so that you can start using Cowork. Right? Like I feel like that's like the bare minimal here, right? That you can do. Cool. So today I want to chat about, we talked about this AI operator role, right? I want to start to define more clearly what it means to be an AI operator, an agent operator, right? We're going to be starting the AI operator training track pretty soon here, right? We're restructuring our the community and the training, right, to create more clearer tracks so that you guys can start to actually learn and build and ship things and actually step into being more of that AI operator, right? Because you guys don't need me to explain it. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, right? Of like, do you have to become one? No, you don't. None of you have to, right? Will there still be an EA role? Yes. Yes, there will still be. There'll still be clients out there. There'll still be executives out there that want a human EA, whether that's full-time, part-time, partial time. They're still going to want some sort of human EA at this point in time, right? Will you be guaranteed a job? No. That's as honest as I can get. Right? There will be clients that want EAs. Will there be a lot of clients that want EAs? No. We're already noticing this. Right? I'm just sharing with you guys because this is what we're already noticing in the market. Right? Edward's person that closes and enrolls every single. The reason you have a client is because Edward has brought them into our world here and has enrolled them in our world. And he can probably speak into more of that, right? But this is the reality. There's still clients that wants EAs. Is it as much as it used to be? Like a year ago? Like 2 years ago? Definitely not. The demand is definitely going down. Right? And I just want to speak into that very clearly and honestly for you guys. Sounds like Edward wants to say something.
Yeah, I do. I had a conversation with someone yesterday that the second I said the word AI, she started like just snowballing into all of the AI stuff. And she said, she was like, be careful saying that word around our CEO because he's built like 20 AI agents in their company to do different things. And so it was the kind of conversation where I shared with her honestly, I'm like, hey, most of this stuff is even above my own head right now. But I also shared that Colin has been missing a lot of sleep, staying up late, learning all about this kind of stuff because we want to be really on top of it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that like there's definitely going to be businesses that don't utilize AI anywhere close to the capacity that they can, but for the ones that do, this is a need, not a nice feature for what our service is able to do as well.
So yeah, it's you guys don't have to take this path. You guys don't have to put in the extra work, learn about AI, learn how to build with AI, right? Upskill and all of that, right? I do believe there will still be an EA role here, right? Because like Edward mentioned, there are still companies that are, a little more on the traditional side, or maybe waiting for a certain point before they start to adopt AI, right? There's every company's at a different stage of AI adoption right now, right? And so thankfully, because of that, there's still a need for human roles, right? Human talent and human roles there, right? But we're starting to see more and more and more, right? Clients, even existing ones that are working with you guys right now, right? We just launched the first sprint to deploy the EA agent, right? And we got a lot of hand raises already. We got a lot of clients that are already interested. And they're like, yes, actually, I want to explore this. I want to see what it would look like to have an AI agent be able to do a lot of this workflows, right? So the demand for that is rising, while the demand for a human EA is starting to go down and down, right? And as always, I want to be as honest as I can to set you guys up for the future, right? So you don't have to take that path, but if you do choose to take that path, will you be guaranteed a job? Way higher, like way likely, more likely, right? Why? Because look, just think about it. You guys know your executives. If we deployed an agent for them, would they want to manage their executives? Would they want to manage their agent themselves? Right? They'll use the agent. Will they want to fix the agent if it broke or if it did something that wasn't supposed to do? Probably not. Right? You guys know your clients more than we do. You guys know your executives more than we do. But I'm willing to bet, willing to bet on it, that even if they had an agent, they're still going to want someone to manage and maintain and then even improve on the agent and keep building on the agent. Right? Which is why this AI agent operator role is going to be very high in demand. Right? So let me speak into what that role looks like, so you guys can like actually conceptually see what that looks like, right? So you're able to kind of see your own gap of where you are right now and where you need to go to be able to step into that role, right? Madeline says mine would never manage that herself. Yeah. She's not very common. I think a lot of people are in that case, right? Not every executive there is like me who likes to tinker around and play around with agents all day. Right. Many of them just get the job done, get the work done. As long as it's done good, that's fine. Right. Whoever finds someone else to manage that. Right. So what exactly does an agent operator or an AI operator do? Right. First thing is build solutions. We talked about it last call, right? Learning to build skills, right? Taking an existing workflow that's already in the business, right? A recurring workflow, taking that and finding a way to automate that, whether that's through automation tools or through agent skills or AI skills, right? Building the playbook for it, taking that playbook, turning it into a skill, getting some sort of AI tool or model to do that skill on repeat, right? And consistently get the right outputs and the right results, right? So that's the first thing, is to build, to be able to build and to be able to ship, right? Which is why I mentioned earlier that I think the greatest competitive advantage is if you guys start to learn how to use some of the coding tools like Claude Code. There are other ones out there, right? ChatGPT or OpenAI has Codex, which is similar to, right? You can use any of the vibe coding tools as well, right? I just think with Claude Code, if you know how to work Claude Code really well, you're solid. You're good. You're like in the top like 5% of the talent pool, right? If you know how to use that, and we're gonna work towards that. We're gonna start with co-work, right? Because many of you guys are probably not technical. We'll start with cloud co-work, right? Learn the infrastructures and then apply that to Cloud Code. Learn the technical side of things, and then you can start building things. Right? Just imagine, right? Any workflow. Just pick any workflow right now in your own workflows, in your own role, or your clients, your executives, right? Now imagine you had the ability to build a tool that just automates that and does that really well. How indispensable would you be? Right? What used to take having an entire product team, having a whole team of devs, right, developers and engineers to build out something like that, you can do that now with natural language using these type of tools. Right? Lamia's probably one step away from that right now. She's building skills in Claude Cowork to automate the entire process of idea research to fully drafted newsletters. Now, if she took one step and learned Claude Code and how to do that in Claude Code, she could probably turn all those skills into an actual software. An actual software with a dashboard, right? No longer needs to, prompt the AI model to be like, okay, start and do this skill. It could just be one entire dashboard. Every single week, we pop in on Monday morning and there's pre-drafted newsletters already. Then we can go and revise it, update it and everything. Good to go. Give the thumbs up and that gets scheduled to get sent out. Right? I'm painting that so you guys can see and start to ideate and come up with, okay, here's what's possible. Right? I just need to learn the fundamentals and I just need to learn how to slowly get there. Right, so that's the first thing, is building new solutions with AI. Second thing is, second part of the role of being an AI operator is being able to manage and maintain those solutions. Right, because they're not always going to be perfect out the box the first time you build it. Right, let's take terminology from the development world, right? There's V1s, V2s, V3s, V3.4, V4, V5. There's multiple versions of a product. Every software has iterations of it. Every product, every tool has iterations of it, right? Which requires management, which requires, doing quality assurance, quality check, right? And so it's going to be the same with any of these. Any skills you build, it's not a one-time you built a skill, you're done. Mark it off, check it off the checklist. No, you built the skill, you run it, you test it. Did you get the output you want? Is your executive happy with the output? If no, great. You go back, you refine, you tweak it. And then you get another output. Executive happy with it? Good, executive is happy with it. Now this is the new version, right? And then you go, okay, well, where else can I improve this? Or maybe it's a bit slow. Maybe it's not, it's a B quality right now. It could be A quality. It could be better, right? And there's the refinement of it, which requires management and maintenance of the solution. That's the second part of the operator role. All right. Third part is quality control, right? This is where, I've spoken about this, the human in the loop component of it is AI can sometimes make mistakes. Any tool can make mistakes. software itself sometimes makes mistakes, right? How many of you have had a software and was like, it doesn't do the thing that I need it to do exactly the way I want it to do it, right? Why can't this company just build this or add this feature here? Right? How many of you have ever been in Notion? You're just like, why does Notion does this specific thing? Why can't it just do that? Right? And so there's a need to quality control and make sure that the output Russ says Airtable. Yes, we have wrestled for a couple years now with Airtable. Right? And I'm gonna hone into that for a second here, right? We have wrestled, right, with Airtable for like over 2 years now, going, why can't they just build this one feature that we needed them to build that would make our lives easier, that would make this workflow so much easier? And we're sitting here waiting for one day for Airtable to release that feature, and they don't. The beautiful thing is when you step to that's a very clear example, just to be more concrete. All right, for a few months, they couldn't even comment. We can't even add photos, attach a photo into the comment section. Such a simple feature. We had to wait for like I don't know how many months, like quite a few months before they finally released that feature. But here's the beautiful thing, is when you guys step into being able to build and ship these type of solutions, if you're just like, oh, that's a feature that's missing, that's going to make everything a lot easier, you can build that right away. You don't need to wait for a dev team to take months to go and build and add that feature. You build that right away. So like the speed of building, shipping, and iterating is so much quicker now. Those that learn how to do it are going to have the competitive advantage. Right? And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Right? And that's what an AI operator is going to be able to do. To a certain extent. There might be some things that might be too technical, and that's fine. That can be escalated to an actual product team. But for the most part, right, like I demoed the EA agent 2 weeks ago for you guys, right? All of that was built by me, not a product team, not a full-on product team with a senior dev and all that. Like there was a lot of fine-tuning afterwards. Once I built the MVP, took this, shared it with our product team, they went in and they fine-tuned a lot of things, the missing pieces, right? The security stuff, right? The things that, behind underneath the hood that I couldn't fix because I couldn't do because I'm not technical enough for that. But for the functionality of it, any feature that I wanted, I was able to build in that simply by working with Cloud Code. Right? And if I'm able to do it, I know you guys can do it too. Right? So those are, I mentioned 3 things already. So build and ship solutions, right? Manage and maintain the solutions, right? Quality control to make sure the outputs are consistent and meets the expectations that you want it to, right? And then the last one is getting feedback. Getting feedback from whoever's using the tools, right? In this case, it would most likely be your executive, right? Then the AI operator's role is to get that feedback of, hey, did this work? Does this meet your expectations? Is there anything else you want from this? Is there anything we can improve from this? All right, this used to take a product team to do, a whole product team to go have to talk to customers or to talk to whoever's using the tool, get the feedback, bring that back, share that with the product team. They, manage the different bugs, manage the different feature requests, build it, iterate. It took a lot. There was a whole process, a whole department used to take all of this, which can now be done way quicker and easier. Right? You build, you ship the tool, you manage it, you quality control the results and the outputs, and then you get consistent feedback from them, from the executive. Hey, is this working? Maybe it's working this week, next week, they have a new idea. There's like, oh, can we do this instead? Or can we have it do this instead? Take that feedback, you go and you re-implement that and you keep refining and optimizing. Right? That is the role. Right? Take any function in your role right now and you apply those 4 things. Right? Which is essentially what we did with the EA agent, as I demoed for you guys, right? It's SODs and EODs. Used to be a thing you have to do every single day, beginning of the day, end of the day. Great. Turn it into a solution. How do we turn this into a skill? Automate it with the agent. Someone still needs to manage it. Right now, Lamia manages it. Right? I can pull up and I can show you, but like, every single day, Kai is sharing the SODs, the EODs. Lamia is still jumping in there and reviewing it and maintaining it and making sure that Kai is doing it correctly. If anything needs to change, she instructs Kai. Kai updates it. She keeps quality controlling the output to make sure that I'm getting the most useful and the most useful SODs and EODs. So I'm starting my day with clarity. I'm ending my day with clarity. Right? And so that's what the operator role, AI operator role, looks like for that. Now you just stack on more things. So there's SODs and EODs. There's meeting preps and meeting debriefs. Right? There's SOP creations. There's whatever else that you are currently doing or your executive's doing. We can start to stack on a solution for each of those things. And then your role is just building the solutions, right? Maintaining it, quality control, getting feedback so that you can continue to refine. Does that paint a clear image? I know we spoke a lot about what it means. We spoke a lot about you guys needing to transition to this role, but I realized I didn't do a good job at defining and painting a picture of what this role actually looks like. So hopefully this provides more clarity. Any questions? Aside the how, we're going to dive into that. Is that clear for everyone? Can get a yes or no? See some thumbs up? Okay. I'll take that as a yes. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're going to begin the training track for the AI operator role, right? So that you guys can start to upskill into that, right? And my prediction is we're probably also just going to make that the role that we recruit for moving forward as well, right? Just because we're already seeing a lot more new clients coming in that are requesting that type of support, right? And so this is just gonna start to become the new standard, right? For this role. Yeah. So I wanna share a couple of things on how to set yourself up for success. How can you succeed in transitioning and upskilling into this role before we actually dive into the role or dive into the hows, right? First thing is staying current, right? AI development, it's keeping up with all the developments that's happening in the AI world right now without drowning in the noise, right? Couple best practices is pick a lane and focus on that lane, right? So pick a specific tool you want to get really good at and stay focused on that lane rather than learning 50 different AI tools because there's so many out there, right? You can be learning about Claude, you can be learning about OpenAI, you can be learning about Perplexity's doing a bunch of things now, you can be learning about OpenClaw, you can be learning about, there's so many things out there, right? And it's easy to get overwhelmed and it's hard to keep up with all of it. So instead, pick a lane that you can get dangerously good at and stay focused on that. Then you just drown out all the noise and you just focus on how do I stay current and keep up with the AI developments just in this lane, right? I saw a lot of you guys talked about co-work. Great. If that's the one, if that's the lane, you're just like, all right, I just want to get really, really freaking good with Claude co-work. Great, then stay there, right? And find a way to stay consistent. Stay current with it. Right? Actually, I'm going to throw this back to you guys. How are you guys doing that right now? How are you staying updated on all the AI developments? If you are. If you're not, you're going to say I'm not. Thanks to social media. Okay. Tao says LinkedIn. I'm going to say it's my inbox. My inbox does get a lot of a lot of news on AI. Edward says I could be doing better, doing little beyond personal use. Nat says news, social media, inbox. Cass says ads. Frank says active research. Maureen says taking courses on my client subscriptions, emails. Yeah. Newsletter, Substack, social media. Get free trials where possible. Yeah. Russ says I don't. I just learn one thing at a time. I ignore anything new until I'm confident. Yeah, that's the way. Pick a lane and stay super focused on it. Taking courses. Colin build me an agent. Yeah, yeah. I have a hack for you guys. Build a skill for it. You guys are already using Cowork. Build a skill to stay updated. You can talk through it with Cowork. Cowork has, you guys do know Cowork has like a pre-built-in skill for building skills, right? Did I talk about this before? Can't remember if I mentioned this before. All right, let me pull this up. So you guys are going to go in Cowork, you're going to customize. You'll see, all the skills connectors, and you can browse other ones, and you can add more to it, right? There's Claude Anthropic has a skill in here called Skill Creator. All right, I can't remember if you have to actually add it or not, but it should be in the skills library. It might be pre-added already, but they have a skill in here that you can just trigger that creates any skill you want it to create. All right, this just speeds up the process of being able to create any skill, right? And so if you want to stay up to date with the latest in whatever lane you're picking, build a skill for it. Be like, hey, Claude Cowork, can you build me a skill that I can trigger where you go and do some research on the last week? Give it a timeline. Don't be like, do 5 years of research, right? Just, do research on the latest AI developments on Claude Cowork in the past week or 2 weeks, depending on when you want to refresh and update yourself. And then it's going to build a skill for that. And then, like Frank mentioned, there's a Chrome extension. It doesn't even need the Chrome extension for that. It has search tools to be able to search already, right? But don't just go like, give me the latest updates on all of AI. Then you're going to get a ton of noise. Pick the lane. If you're just like, I just want to get really good at Claude Cowork and Claude Code, great. Create the skill. Give me the latest updates on Claude Cowork, Claude Code, right? And tell me how this is relevant to my role as an EA. And you can fine tune the skill however you want. Maybe you can add in there, give me 5 use cases each time on where I can apply this new feature or this new update. And you run that skill every week. Then it's consistently giving you, here's the latest new thing that Claude Cowork or Claude Code can do now. Here's how this is relevant to you as an EA. Here are the 5 use cases of where you can apply this feature right now in your role. You build a skill for it. That's how you stay current. Let's get that. You guys don't have to go out there and drown in a bunch of social media and drown in a bunch of Reddit threads and all of that, right? Unless you like to. If you're, if you're a high fact finder in Colby and you enjoy doing that, it excites you, then by all means, whatever way to keep yourself current on the latest. But there are creative ways where you can drown out the noise, get what you need, but also look at how that's relevant to your role. Right? I have a couple skills now that Kai does for me every week, specifically this. I get a daily news brief. I get the latest updates on OpenClaw and Claude Code, because those are the 2 lanes that I'm picking for me. Right? Once a week. Yeah, I've seen that meme come up a lot. Right? And that's the thing. These tools like OpenClaw and Claude Code, they're coming up with new features every single week. It's kind of crazy, right? But they're moving so fast, right? And so, drown out the noise. Don't get drowned in it. Find and cherry pick the ones that will be most relevant, and you don't have to do that. You can get Claude to do that for you. And then go and build and ship, implement, test it out, try it out. This is going to be the fastest way that you're going to develop and upskill yourself. Right? I do this every week, right? Every day, Kai gives me a news brief on the latest updates. I go every day because that's how frequent these updates are coming out. Like once a week is not enough. So I get a news brief every single day on what's going to be most relevant for me. Kai knows that I'm building agents right now, right? And I'm training executives and EAs on how to use Claude and OpenClaw. So I've narrowed down the scope. So Kai is only pulling relevant news to me and then also giving me ideas on use cases. Right? And then once a week, every Friday, I have Kai also go take all the news updates that you've shared with me and come up with 5 new skill ideas that I can be building as templates for clients, my clients, and for my EAs. Right? And so there's, you guys see where I'm going with this? Right? Hopefully you guys are picking up what I'm leaving down here. Right? Is there are ways to get very creative so that you can stay current with what you need to stay current on to then upskill yourself. Right? And you know, as you start to learn to automate the things that you're already doing, you start to build that muscle to start to see, okay, well, what can I do for my client? Right? If you're doing the skill, right, you build the skill, and you're staying up to date, maybe you can go to your client and be like, hey, what are some of the things that you want to stay up to date on? What are some of the trends, right, or news that you need to stay up to date on that would be relevant and helpful for you and your business? Figure out what that is, and now you go build that exact same skill, but for your client. And now they're getting briefed on relevant news without drowning in all the noise, because, you know, they're busy and they don't have time to check up on all of that. Right? And you're able to share with them, here's 5 use cases of where this news is relevant. Right? If your executive is in the marketing space, great, we'll find news on AI and marketing and AI. Here's where they can improve their product, their services, things that they're doing. Right? So it begins there. That's the first thing of how to start to, how to set yourself up, succeed on this track towards becoming an AI operator. That's the first one, right? Staying current. Second one is understanding the infrastructure of how it works, right? And I want to spend a little bit of time kind of diving more into this, right? But let's start with a couple of questions here for you guys, right? I want to paint the picture of why understanding the infrastructure is important and how you've already done that in your own current roles. When I ask you, where do you create and organize your documents? Or just answer that. Where do you create and organize your documents? Not a trick question, actually, for real. Just where do you, you don't have to come up with the best answer that's related to AI, right? Edward says Apple Notes, Google Drive. Maureen says Google Drive. Nat says Google Drive. Yeah. Tad says Google Drive. Google Drive. Lots of Google Drives. Exactly. Right? Where do you manage your tasks? Where do you project manage your tasks? Notion, Asana. Notion, Google Drive, Notion. Trello, Notion, ClickUp. Yep, Notion. Todoist, Notion. Yep, Notion. Great. Where do you manage your schedules? And your executive schedules? Google Cal. Yep, Google Cal, GCal, Google Cal. Great. Where do you communicate to your executives? Slack. Yep. Where do you communicate to your executives' clients? Email. Yep. Email. Gmail. Slack, Gmail. Yeah. Great. Notice how easy it was for you guys to answer all these questions. Why? Because you guys already know the infrastructure that's needed to be able to do all this. Right? It is this, take a past lifetime before you stepped into this role or any similar role or any remote role. If I asked you these questions, you probably wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know what tools to use. You wouldn't know where to use what tool for what. But when you stepped into the world of remote work, whether it's being a VA, an EA, whatever previous roles you guys were in, You guys had to learn the infrastructure. But once you learned the infrastructure, it became so easy. It doesn't matter. We can throw you in any role, adjacent role now. I can throw you guys into a chief of staff role right now. I can ask you all these questions, you'll be able to answer it. Correct? Right? Because you understood the infrastructure. The infrastructure of how remote work works. Right? And then it's just a matter of preference. Maybe it's Trello, maybe it's Asana. Right? It depends on what the client's team uses. But you understand the infrastructure to know that you project manage tasks in a project management tool, not a Google Doc. Hopefully none of you guys said Google Doc for task management or a Google Sheet for task management. Right? You guys just know it doesn't work because you know the infrastructure of project management needs a project management tool. Document management needs a document management tool. Communication channels, there's a specific communication channel for internal communications or to your executive. If it's external communications to your clients, there's a preferred channel. You guys understood the infrastructure already. The same is going to apply when it comes to working with AI tools, building agents, building anything in the AI world. Once you guys understand the infrastructure of it, right, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there, the same way it was a little bit of a learning curve when you stepped into remote work. Right? But once you got the infrastructure down, everything becomes easier to build upon because it's a matter of preference as well. All right, you're going to know that, okay, in order, where does AI create and organize documents? You guys now know the format's MD, right? Hopefully you guys have learned that already. If I haven't made that very clear, AI loves to chat and create documents and stuff in Markdown, right? It can convert Markdown into whatever else you want it to do, but its main preference, right, is Markdown. That's one infrastructural thing. You guys learn. Now you guys know that. Then you know that whether you're working with Claude Code, with OpenClaw, with whatever it is, you guys just know that, okay, if I keep the documents and files in the format that all these AI tools like to use, it's going to be easy. Same thing is going to happen with project management. How does AI manage their tasks and their projects? Right? Once you guys understand the infrastructure of that, then you can just replicate that anywhere, whatever tool. You can swap the tool out, it will be the same infrastructure. Right? How does an AI model schedule tasks? Right? Once you guys understand that, in the AI world, it's called cron jobs. Right? Once you guys understand how that works and what that looks like, now you can take that and it doesn't matter. You can swap it out. OpenClaw, Claude Code, whatever it is. You just know that this is the infrastructure of how an agent schedules tasks and becomes autonomous. Right? And so that's the second piece of how you're going to succeed is learn the infrastructure of how AI and agents work. All right, I'm going to share more of that in the training with you guys. We're going to break down every single component, right, of the core components of what makes an agent, right? And then you guys understand that, you'll be able to build with it. Third thing is build and ship fast. There's no faster way to learn than to build and ship. Don't wait until you've learned everything and have perfected the knowledge of how to do things before you start doing. Start building, start shipping. The moment you learn something new, go and try it out. Build it. Build it. As you build it, you're going to come into hurdles. You're going to come into obstacles. You're going to come into roadblocks. You're going to hit certain parts where it's like, it's not working. Great. Talk to the AI. It's not working. Why? What do I need to do? How do I fix this? Can you explain that to me? Right. This was how I got from being completely non-tactical and not knowing how to write a single line of code to being able to build not just agents, but turn it into something that's production ready that we can sell as well. Right? All through just building and shipping, trial and error. Right? Anyone on my team, you can ask Russ, you can ask Lamia, they know. I don't think anyone on the team builds as fast as I do. Is it perfect? No. But I build and I ship fast because I learn through building, not through courses, not through, sitting there and watching YouTube for hours. Still, sometimes if I hit a certain hurdle and I'm like, okay, maybe I can learn something a little bit more to fix this, and I'll go find a specific YouTube video. But most of the time, just comes from me building and learning through building. So that's my encouragement to you guys: is get yourself set up and start building and shipping fast. There's no faster way to learn from that. You guys got it? 3 things to succeed here: stay current, understand the infrastructure, so you know when to use and where to use what. Right? Build and ship fast. You guys do those 3 things, promise you guys will transition quickly into being that AI operator, right? That's in demand. That's hot right now, right? We have a little bit of time. Any questions?
I'm not technical, but I was always very fond of technology and around people who were working in technologies and so on. So I love AI. I love anything that, gets me faster to where I need to be and so on. But the code freaks me out. And I just want to know, how did you start? Because I went in, I looked at it, and I was like, nope, not yet. What got you started? How did you get in?
Great question. Yeah. Um, yes, that's gonna be normal. It's scary, right? It's scary the moment you open up code and you're and even terminal, right? The terminal, or for a few Microsoft users, I forgot what it's called in there, PowerShell. Right, you open that up and you see this black box of fear and everything, and you're just like, what do I put in here? What is this for? How do I use this? Right, my Claude code just told me that I'm supposed to go in the terminal and put this line in there. I put it in and it spits back a bunch of gibberish, and I have no idea what that means. That is part of the learning. That is going to be part of the learning. All right. I learned the hard way, which is go in there, build, things broke, and figure out how to fix it. Right? You can take that path. Classic hello world. Yeah, exactly. You can take that path too if that's your way of learning. The way of learning that I want to share with you guys is start with understanding the infrastructure, right? Which is what I'm going to dive into. Right? When you understand some of the infrastructure, right? I did a training with our clients this morning, or the executives this morning, and I shared, which I'll just share with you guys here now too, right? What some of those core infrastructures are, just to give you guys a teaser. Cool. You guys see the screen here, right? I shared with you guys the executives, right? How the core components that makes an AI agent is going to be the same core components that's required to set up any human employee for success. Right? And I'm drawing this correlation so you guys can conceptually understand what it is first, right? And then we'll get into the technical side of how each of these work. Right? We spent a lot of time in the context system already. You guys already know that in order for Claude Cowork to work really well, you need to give it context. Right? You add your Claude Cowork to a project folder. In that project folder, you have all the context that it's going to need so that it can reference that to do the job it needs to do. It's the exact same when you were hired, right? Or if you guys, your team hires anyone new, there needs to be clarity on what the job description is so they know what their role is, and they need to have all their SOPs and handbook and playbooks, right? In context, right? Company handbook, vision, values, mission, all of that. They need to have the context that they need to be able to do their role really well. It's going to be the same with an AI agent. You need to have a strong and very clear context system, right? Memory system. We know this is the most important piece here, is the AI agent forgets things all the time, right? And there isn't a perfect memory system out there, but there's a lot of different types of memory systems and memory frameworks, right, that we can add to our agent, right, so that it has the persistent memory to remember things between sessions, right? And this is only going to get better and better and better as we, move into, the next stages of AI here, right? We talked about skills and tools already. You guys know what that looks like in Claude Cowork. It's the exact same thing. In order for anyone to be successful In their role, they need to have their playbooks and their SOPs so they know how to do their job well and each part of their job and each of their core responsibilities. And they need to have access to the right tools that they need to be able to do it. Right? We have the scheduling side, right? If something needs to be done on a recurring basis, it needs to be clear when that needs to be done, right? What needs to be done and when it gets to be done, right? We have calendars and we have, recurring tasks that we might have in our project management. However it is, we need to have some sort of system so we know that the recurring things continue to keep happening at the right time. It's going to be exact same with the AI agents, right? And I mentioned earlier, it's called crons, right? You have to have some sort of scheduling system so that the agent knows at this time I do this, at this time I do this. And that's what creates the autonomous agent, right? There's no true autonomous agent, like autonomous in how we would define autonomous yet. Really, when people say autonomous agent, it's just an agent with a very clear schedule. That's all it is right now. All right, it's an agent with a very clear schedule when to do what. Right, and then everything else, explanatory, right? We talked about channels, knowing when and where communications go to. Same thing with the agent; it needs to know that, right? Where files get organized, agent's going to need that, right? Security is going to be a big thing. It's the same with a human employee. When you guys join any company, you guys sign contracts and NDAs and agreements, right? It's and you have your policies of what you can and can't do. It's the same with an AI agent. It needs to have the security, the policies, and all that system there. Task management, same thing, right? So all the same components that sets a human employee up for success are the exact same components that makes an agent an effective agent, right? These are the components. These are what you want to understand. Once you understand this, any of you guys will be able to build an agent, because everything you build is just going to work on top of this. If you're working in a tool like Claude Cowork, some of these are pre-built in already, right? The infrastructure for contacts is built in. You just have to add the folder to it. Memory is not yet in Claude Cowork, but in Claude Chat it is, right? Or in ChatGPT, memory system is already built in. That's why it has the persistent memory between sessions, right? And then so when you pick any tool, you get to look at, okay, does it have all these components? Which one's missing? If one is missing, how do I add that into there? All right, and this is what I mean by the infrastructure. The same way you guys understand the infrastructure of how human roles work, and you guys know where context lives, where files are created, where schedules are, where, what tools to use for what, it's going to be the exact same thing. Right, so that's just to paint the picture there. So to answer your question, Nat, just to wrap it up, is I would start here, and this is where we're going to start our training, is understanding each of the components here. Once you understand that, then you go into Claude Code, then it's not as scary, because then you can go, hey, Claude Code, I'm building this project here. Here's the context system. I don't have a memory system yet. Can you suggest what we use for memory? Great. I don't have a skills and tool system. Can you suggest what we use for this? Great. Let's do that. Implement it. Oh, we don't automate. We don't have a schedule right now for these tasks. My agent just has these things and it doesn't do things on autopilot yet. Well, I want a scheduler system. I want a cron system. Can you suggest how we build this? It's going to give you a plan on how to suggest on how to build it. You look at it, makes sense to me. Go ahead, build that. Then it starts building that. Same thing. Oh, I want to be able to chat with my agent in Slack. There's no way to do that right now. What do you think I should do? How do you think I can do that? Claude Code starts to explain, okay, well, you need to set up a channel adapter. You need to do all this. Here's what I recommend. Great. And then you implement it. Right? But if you go into Claude Code and you don't understand any of this and you're staring at a blank black screen, of course it is overwhelming. Of course you're like, I don't know where to start. Right? You guys see the picture now? Is it starting to connect? Once you understand the infrastructure, then you start building component by component by component by component. And it's the exact same thing as any software you build. You don't jump into it and build the entire software. You go, what are all the features that I want in the software? Let me start with the infrastructure. Then let me add this feature. Then let me add this feature. Then let me add this feature. So same methodology here. So we'll start there. All right. Okay, we are at time. Let's wrap up here. more news to come on the restructuring of community and the training and I'll be sharing a lot more training like that very soon here, right? My encouragement, if you guys have not already started to learn and build, now's the time, right? And just to give you a very clear first step, go and build that skill we just talked about, the skill to stay current on all things in AI in your lane. Start there.
Um, Hi, Colin. Sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I was just wondering regarding the agent you guys sent us an email for, Kai. Will there be an option for us to review it, take a look at it, so that we are actually able to bring it to our executives with more information on it? I've been having conversations with my execs regarding this, so I just want to be more informed when I start having these types of conversations.
Live, ready to go. So we did send out an email to all of the executives. So I think everyone should have gotten an email about it in the inbox. If you haven't, then reach out to your account manager. Reach out to your AM. Right. We have a full landing page with all the details, all the information, and everything. Your executive can sign up and join the wait list for it. We have a wait list right now because we're starting with the first 10 right now, and we're going to do it in batches. But all the information is available and ready to be shared. So yeah, so just reach out to your account manager, and they can set you up with that.
No, I received the email. I was just wondering if there was a preview that we could do before they sent up, but okay, I'll just share what's already in the email. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys in the next session.